Welcome in. It's another edition of the On the Mic podcast. And today, at first time I've been doing a podcast with somebody that's not myself. I'm very, very excited to welcome my guest today. She is literally Mrs. Do It All, Miss Do Everything, as my dogs take up the complete camera shot in the back. Lia Dorchinez. Lia, thank you so much. From Locked On with Lia. Got a chance to meet Lia down at the PFL in Florida, part of Fight Bananas. You do a great job with all that you do, Lia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Just a brief look of your social media, and it's incredible. Like, if I wanted to find somebody who was just addicted to combat sports, I found her. I found her in you. How did you really get started in everything, and what led you down your path to getting into covering combat sports?
So it's actually kind of like my favorite story now. Um, I told you a second ago briefly, but I have been a combat sports girly since about 2012. I have been strictly a fan. I think since 2012, I've maybe taken like 2 or 3 boxing classes. And when I say that, you just take your imagination to like the girls that are in the boxing gym and just like cardio workout type thing, right? Because I like to sweat. Um, I'm not a combat athlete by any means. I should probably do something, self defense. I'm a young woman, whatever. But I've been a fan. So my first ever event that I went to was UFC Boston, January. I don't know the name of the card. January of 2015, and that was Conor McGregor versus Dennis Seaver. That was the first card I went to, and from there, that's all she wrote. I've been to, I think, 15, maybe 16 cards since then. Just a fan. I love the environment, the atmosphere, the energy, watching people get violent and beat up and broken bones and blood and all of the good in between. But it wasn't until literally a year ago, so November of 2024, that the guys over at millions.co reached out to me, and that stemmed from me sharing one of their silly goofy posts on my Instagram story. And they were like, "Thanks for sharing. Would you ever be interested in interviewing athletes for content?" And I was like, absolutely. Duh. No questions asked. Like, let's talk more. Let's get this ball rolling. And I don't know the exact number, but I think I'm ballpark around 100 interviews that I've done so far with everyone from Sam Alvey in karate combat, Terrence McKinney, UFC, professional boxers, the power slap people, won championships. So a little mix of everybody. And from there, uh, Dave with Fight Bananas reached out to me on Instagram just June of this year. So not even 6 months ago, and was like, "Hey, love your content, would love to collaborate." And then that relationship blossomed. So I have really just been doing it. I don't really think too hard into it. It's just kind of, when you get on a topic that you love, it kind of comes easy. And I'm a very humble, modest person, but people love when women love combat sports. And I am a genuine fan. I'm not over here just only watching because my friends are. I'm buying the pay-per-views, I'm buying the tickets and planning the trips. I go to these events. And so, yeah, it's just kind of turned into this thing that I never really imagined. And I love it because all of the people that I have met so far, we're all trying to accomplish the same thing on the media side. But also, like, when you look at these athletes and these fighters, um, yes, there's enough to go around, but everyone wants that top spot, and everyone's working, and you have to have that team and the support and the training and everything that goes into it. So we're all just like in this little bubble of, this is so cool, like there's people out here that are just starting their fight careers. And, I'm I'm a newbie in the content creation world for, fight content and media journalism, but it's been it feels like home, I've never met someone so far that's like, "Ew, like, there's that girl Leah." People like to hear me talk, and I don't know if it's the accent, I don't know if it's the normally curly hair, we're not wearing that today for no good reason. Um, but yeah, so long story short, millions reached out, followed up by Fight Bananas. I've also created a relationship with Charlie Quinn, who is Uncaged Network. So I'm looking forward to working with them in the future too. And I'm just, taking it day by day and going to fights in between and doing my watch parties with Fight Bananas on YouTube. And yeah, it's been a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, it's definitely you're doing so much work and someone who's just been in it for over a year, but been following the sport for years. Little irony, my actual first fight was Connor and Dennis Seaver as well. But it was replayed. So I worked in sports radio before I got into MMA. And I won't mention any names or cities, Philadelphia, but they completely screwed me over. And I had to pack up and move back to Chicago. So I'm packing up my apartment in New Jersey, and I just have Fox Sports 2 on at the time. And it's a replay, and I go, who is this crazy Irish guy, and why is he yelling at everyone? I go, I absolutely love this guy. So I get on the phone, I start texting all my friends, and my buddy goes, yeah, hey, he fights this weekend against Chad Mendez. And I was like, I was like, that's the last thing I'll do before I move back. And I had not missed a pay per view since UFC 189. Got into it shortly thereafter. I love how much you have your hands dipped in every side of combat sports. I feel like I know the question or the answer, but I love asking this question because no matter why you do it, I think we all have the same reason. So, what is your favorite part about being in the sport, interviewing these fighters, interviewing these combat sport athletes?
Um, that's a good question. I'm a people person. I sell real estate for a living, and people think like, "Oh, you can sell sales is easy, or anyone can do that." I don't do it just for the paycheck. I do it for the relationships that follow, and I've built relationships with people that I never once in my life thought that I would even meet, let alone I'm creating content with them. So for me, it's just the people and hearing everyone's stories and their backgrounds and where they come from and why they do what they're doing and who they are fighting for and, what these paychecks and these payouts mean for them or their family or their city. And it's deep for me. It's fun, content is fun, right? Like, we get on the TikTok and scroll for days on end, and it's funny, hee hee ha ha, cry a little bit here and there, but actually being on the side of creating it, um, getting to communicate with these people and hold conversations and just learning, brings a whole different appreciation for the person as well as the sport itself because everyone is out here in the world, number one, fighting for their life, but these people are fighting for their life physically and that's their job. And how freaking cool, like, not everyone can say that they're going out to work this weekend and it's because they're in the middle of Madison Square Garden about to put on a show for thousands if not millions of people.
Yeah, and so Leah, I mean this in all sincerity. That's exactly why I connected with you after seeing your social media, after seeing your content. Because I'll be honest, I've had one foot out the door of getting out of MMA because too often it's about what someone tweeted or what somebody said. I really don't want to share who, so I won't out of respect to them. But there was somebody who did very well in the PFL World Tournament this year, and that person knew a little bit of my background. They actually won their title on the night in which I was celebrating the anniversary of my best friend's passing. And in the press conference after the fight, he said, I told you I would do this for your best friend. And I was like, that's the biggest fight of your career. And the last thing you should ever think about is a media member or a media member's backstory. And he goes, but you're not a media member. And so that, Lee, and I mean this sincerely, is exactly why I connected with you, because just a 5-second, 5-minute look into your style of interviewing, the way you connect with people, you bring that out. You bring out the personal stories of these people. If it wasn't all about clickbait, more than any other sport, in my opinion, MMA is all clickbait, I would love this sport. But there's not many people or platforms where you can just break down that fourth wall, have that conversation, and I always go back to, and I know I'm going to sound like every 30-year-old guy, right? I go back to Joe Rogan interviewing Tyron Woodley when Tyron Woodley was a champ, and he had this belief that the UFC didn't want him to be champ. And he was on Rogan's podcast, and he was trying to say it without trying to say it, whether it was because he was a person of color or whatever the case may be. And Joe Rogan was like, no, who doesn't want you to be champ? He goes, you see that belt right there? That belt means no one can tell you shit. You are the 170-pound champion of the world. And I'll never forget that, because that's the type of interviewing I want to do, where it doesn't matter if you think there's no gotcha. And that's what I really respect about you. You never do an interview and go, gotcha, I got my clickbait. You know what I mean? And so I think you're a true rare breed in this space of, I'm not looking for clicks. I'm not looking for likes. I'm not looking for attention. I just want to share the story. So I had to get that out there, because that's absolutely one thing I love about your content.
Thanks. That means a lot, because I never looked at it that way, because I've never thought about the clickbait side of it. And normally, before I interview somebody, I have a moment before we hit record where we kind of make sure audio video is good and names are pronounced correct and everything else. But I'm also saying, like, hey, I want you, this is about you. This is not about me. I'm no one in the fight world. Okay. I want to know why you do it. I want to know who you're doing it for. I want to know what your life looks like. I want to know, you know, who you are, who you want to shout out and talk about, because these fighters have to have sponsors and these affiliations with people to get the money to be able to afford to have the training camp to go to these fights. And that's what I create it for. I want to hear about your story. And I tell them, I'm like, you talk all you want. You can chatty Cathy yap it up for the entire interview. I do not care, because those are the clips that I want you to be able to broadcast on your social media, so people see the side of you that isn't just you in the ring, in the octagon, in the cage, whatever it may be. Um, the clickbait, whatever, if it comes because of something that we genuinely talked about, cool. But if not, I'm still doing the same thing that I would do with every single athlete. It doesn't matter if you're an amateur just getting your feet wet, or if you're a champion holding a belt undefeated, whatever that looks like. I treat everyone the same. I don't care what color you are, how old you are. We all have different walks of life, and I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about the person that's in front of me.
I think that's the beauty and the reason why I haven't left combat sports, because I think you realize it, even if you don't realize it. It's about the fighter as a brand, right? Because any single person in combat sports can be in combat sports. But when I look at you talking to fighters from Power Slap, talking to boxers, talking to people from One, PFL, UFC, you see them for what they are as a brand, and not, oh, this is said UFC fighter, or this is the person who fights in this promotion or in this sport. So I think you do a really good job with that. What's been the thing you've enjoyed the most about being in combat sports?
As cliche as it is, it's the people. I've talked to people from very different walks of life, weight classes, different organizations. And, you know, at first it's like, oh, I'm going to do this interview with this girl. And social media is such a weird thing, right? Because it's virtual. We don't see each other in person, maybe once a year if we ever meet in person at all. And yet the connection that you can build on social media is so different. Like, if it weren't for millions.co and if it weren't for social media, Destiny and me would not be in each other's lives. And that is my ride or die. That is my best friend. I love her more than words, and it's all because of social media. So it's like the people that you meet, even after an interview, we might not have even followed each other until said interview. And then you start to see into each other's lives just that little bit, whatever that sliver looks like, the good, bad, the ugly, mostly the good, because that's what we do for social media. But yeah, just the relationships, because you see people virtually, but until you have like that conversation, does it not open the door for an actual relationship? I have people that I interview, and then the next thing you know, we're wishing each other's dogs happy birthday on Instagram. Like, it's so weird, but it's also so cool. And, you know, maybe I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm me, and I do things from my heart and very genuinely. I care a lot. I get very nervous before every single interview, just naturally. Um, but then it's the relationship, the people. The people is
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I'll tell you my biggest downfall is I do develop those relationships very quickly because I don't look for that clickbait. I just want you to tell me about you, and whatever you want the world to know about you, the platform is yours. But then I've developed that friendship or that relationship, and if I'm at their fight live in person, I'll be backstage and people will know, hey, you've had a good relationship with this person, blah blah blah, and they'll be like, "Did you want to go first?" Like, no, I don't want to ask questions first. Like, it's not about me. I don't even want. Sometimes I don't even want to be acknowledged. But there have been some times where it's nice to be recognized, but it's like, hey, just answer the question based off like I'm just anybody else in the room. But getting that respect goes a very very long way. Now, I would love to just peel back the curtain on all that you do because you literally do a million thousand things. But I also want to talk about some hot topics, and one of those being the illegal betting controversy that has really rocked the UFC. Now, I may or may not have once watched a watch along party with Lia Dorchinez, and she could not put together a bet in time for a few fights, but you're not throwing fights and you're not, moving lines. So, what do you make of this whole thing? Is this just so? My thought process is when you do it right now, people are going to blame the sports books. They're going to blame legalized mobile sports betting. Without that, there's no digital footprint. So it's actually dumber to get caught now than it was 50 years ago. Fight fixing has always been a thing. But if you really think it's worth that extra 10,000 for like your life and your career, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's dumber to do it now than ever before. What do you make of this whole thing?
it's just insane. And at first, from this past weekend, I forget the name of the gentleman who tapped out, that I feel like was just this domino effect going into all of these allegations and the investigation and the FBI and Dana White threatening everybody. Um, it's crazy. And now all of these athletes are coming out and saying, yeah, I was offered money, but I declined it. Well, now you're on the chopping block because who approached you? You know? Um, I never imagined it being this big, and I think that's because I never really thought about this being an issue. I don't know why. I guess it's because I'm not a gambler. I have friends that are like, "You need to, like, make videos about your picks and who you're betting on," and I'm like, "No, that is the worst idea because I always lose. I'm not good at this game." But maybe I was losing for bad reason. I don't know. But it's, it's been weird. So what's gonna come of it? I think that this is I think it's huge. How many athletes are gonna be, butchered because of them accepting these things? It's kind of scary because who all is really involved in it? Um, and what's that gonna look like as far as charges?
Real charges. By the way, no better time to be on mute than when I'm trying to respond to your take. That was
I
fantastic.
saw that, it's okay.
I'm definitely better than what I just showed. I apologize for that. But it's one of those things where again, especially in combats, I mean, fixing games and fights has been around, since sports were created. But it's I just don't understand for one, we had this whole situation 3 years ago with the James Krause and that whole gym and that team, and we saw what happened there. Now, somehow, some way, I don't know, but I believe James Krause avoided prison time, and that is what it is. The thing that you brought up that is really intriguing to me is everyone saying, "Well, I've been approached." Okay, now you have two options right now, or three: run for the hills and never say anything again. Two, admit who you were talking to, or go have a meeting with Dana White because now Dana's pissed about all these allegations and people saying I was approached. I was approached. I think it's pretty clear. Just say something if you've been approached. Uh, I just don't understand the idea of, well, I'll throw one fight for an extra 10 grand now, not thinking, hey, if I get caught, again, I'm looking at prison time. So it's just one of those things where I don't know that we're going to find all the answers,
Right.
but what do you think about how do you think this changes the betting aspect of the UFC? Do you feel like when we see upsets now, people are going to question more of these results? Because that's one thing I loved about combat sports. You shouldn't be able to question these results.
I think it'll be a question, but it's gonna depend on the fighter, it's gonna depend on the opponent, the location. I think there's other factors that are gonna fall into it. Again, I'm not a big gambler. I lose every time. I lose every time. I think I've won once in, like, 12 years, but anyways, and it was probably, like, $20. Um,
It's okay.
but
That is well.
I think people are gonna question it and probably be a little skeptical, but it's not gonna change anything. Like, gambling is gonna continue forward like it always does, um, and you're gonna have the people who make a living off of it still doing what they do, so the money's still gonna be there, and the bets and the betting lines are still gonna be there. I think it's just gonna be people you're you're not huge money makers, maybe is the right way to say that, are gonna be a little bit more cautious on watching these lines move and the way that some of them jump real crazy, and then all of a sudden the fighter loses, like, "What? That's weird. How did that happen?" So, gambling's never gonna end, um, but, I think what I'm more concerned of is these athletes and the ones that have piped up and tweeted and posted on social media like, "Yeah, I was approached." I mean, you just opened up a can of worms that you coulda sat on for the rest of your life, and you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe you didn't do anything wrong and didn't accept the money, but now you raise that red flag for people to approach you, and this is an FBI investigation. This is not your local hometown sheriff down the corner, coming by knocking on the door. Like, these are FBI agents investigating. So I I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure that we'll probably end up with some more athletes cut from the UFC, um, and some people just treading very lightly in the world moving forward.
I'm gonna get to him in a second because I want to talk about Dana White. But you're absolutely right. I think the biggest thing for me is I don't know that people realize this, whether it be fans, fighters, whomever. You are so easily replaceable. So not only are you risking your career, Dana White has a very quick trigger finger. You do anything to mess with that bottom line dollar, or anything to mess with the business, especially a company moving over to Paramount Plus in 2026 for free. You're really just giving the product to the world in the palm of their hands, and you don't need this. You especially don't need this on the heels of an NBA betting scandal with the mafia and poker games and all of that. But I do want to talk about Dana White because Dana White is a guy who, and I'm not brown nosing here, but if I could really, really have just one night with any person who runs any sport, it's Dana White. And it's not because he
Mhm.
loves to gamble. It's not because it's because he's unfiltered. This is an unfiltered podcast, so we can say it and not get in trouble. When he looks and talks about this betting scandal and says, you will go to fucking federal prison, I love that. I love that. I say it around the house now. When my dogs act up, I go, you'll go to fucking federal prison. Try me. Like, that's something that I don't, obviously in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, you can't say those things.
Right.
But Dana White runs the show. Cross him. Because not only will you be out of a paycheck, you'll never have a platform again, and you'll be looking at prison time. For me, I think when it happens around other sports, there's definitely a reason to hit the panic button. This may sound weird to say, and I want to get your thoughts on it. When it happens in the UFC, seeing Dana get in front of it, I think there's nobody better to get involved in a betting scandal, because Dana's going to just push down Thor's hammer, and he's going to set the record straight very quickly.
Yeah, he's gonna nip it in the bud. He's not playing. This is I mean, what, he's not the owner anymore technically, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah. Still the
he's
president, but yeah.
right, CEO, whatever. Dana is not somebody to mess with. This is his baby. And he has worked very hard for a very long time to create such a successful organization. And it's like he gave birth to this, and his children are betraying him. And it's like, it's more than that, though. It's the fans, it's the community that gets affected by this. And what people might think, like, oh yeah, I can throw a fight and I might make a little bit of extra money, but you just cost your career. You just cost your family, issues and jail time. Like, it is so much more than just like, oh, Dana's wanting to like point the finger and tell everyone no, they're being bad. No, this is his baby, and you all are spitting on it. And that is not nice. And if it were my baby, I would be doing the same damn thing. And I'm with you. I love how unfiltered Dana is, because normally when you think of like president, CEO, you think of like suit and tie and like, la da 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 da, I speak correctly and I am very poised and proper. And Dana's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm going over here to gamble. I want to do my own legal gambling, and I've created this organization. Y'all need to act right. And that's not what's happened. And it's now coming to light. And Daddy Dana is here to fix it.
The thing I love the most, and he gets so much shit for no reason. I've never seen someone have a fantastic performance or do something spectacular, whether it be in the octagon or around the fight world, and Dana not give them the rightful, prize that they deserve, whether that's a job, right? We all remember that viral clip from years ago where the woman, security guard from Best Buy, she got a job with the UFC, right? And I've never seen Dana look at a spectacular performance and go, I'm not going to pay that guy extra money. You can make conversations about fighter pay all day long. We're not going to do that. But I really credit Dana White for as much shitty as he gets. He answers the call on every single opportunity he feels is worthy of. And there's going to be a lot of worthy opportunities where you'll be in a few weeks at UFC 322 Madison Square Garden. Now, I have some ghost of MSG past, so I don't always love the MSG cards because they bring up bad memories. Now, we've got two title fights. Valentina Shevchenko against Wiley Zhang, and then JDM against Islam, that being the biggest fight. What do you make of these two title fights, and who do you like in both of them?
Listen, this is my Christmas. If we're talking fan, I'm fangirl, right? I am rooting for Valentina. I have been a longtime Valentina fan. She's badass. She is highly skilled. She is a vet in this game. And I think she's very deserving of the belt. That's the best way, I think, for me to put it. As for the boys, JDM versus Islam, I had this conversation earlier that they're not huge personalities, right? I mean, like, people crack on Islam because the stuff that he just says, it's like it just falls out of his mouth and people do the clickbait, right? But I think I wanna see Islam win. I know everyone's like, "No, get the Nurmagomedov and that whole gang out of here because they are just dominating." I get it, whatever, shut up. But, it's a really good matchup. Not even looking past this fight, I just think that Islam has really worked his way through everyone and very, excitingly, if that's a word. He's not necessarily a boring fighter. He's not like, Hamzat. Like, Hamzat beating DDP, everyone was like, "Oh my god, that's so whatever, shut up, he dominated him. Yes, it was on the ground, but that's their game." I think Islam is a little bit more well-rounded and has that striking aspect that these guys are known for their grappling, right? They're known for their ground game, but he's a little bit more well-rounded, and I think that all of the success that he has had obviously has led him here, and I think he is deserving of the belt. Jack is great. He's got Alex in his back pocket. That's cool and all. I'm a Volkanovski fan, but I think I'd like to see Islam win. So Valentina and Islam are who I'm rooting for next weekend.
I love it. Well, we've also got Sean Brady versus Michael Morales on the main card, Leon Edwards versus Carlo Prates on the card. Benil Dariush and Benoit Saint Denis will open the pay-per-view card, and then the featured prelim, Bo Nickel against Rodolfo Vieira. That should be a fantastic fight. But I'm going to look all the way down at the early prelims, and I would never give too much favoritism from someone from Chicago, but Chepe Mariscal taking on Pat Sabatini might be the banger of the night. I'm just saying ahead of time. What fight are you most excited for on the card?
Oh, most excited. Hold on, I had it here a second ago. Most
If it's
excited.
Valentina, that's okay. I mean,
Well, so listen, I'm nervous for Valentina's fight. Like, normally when my favorite fighters are fighting, you can find me sweating and like sitting in silence and probably like just staring at the clock, and I'm waiting for the walkout and I'm waiting for Bruce Buffer to come out. But as far as, most excited for, like, I think that I really do genuinely think that Leon Edwards and Carlos Prates is going to be a banger. And you and I were at PFL Hollywood and we got to witness Fabian Edwards with the head kick knockout against Dalton Rasta. Um, so I think that I think Leon, obviously that's his brother. I think that that energy is going to transpire when Leon gets into the ring. And they are both badass men. I'm a huge Carlos fan. I have seen Leon fight a handful of times in person. I wouldn't say that I'm a huge Leon Edwards fan, but I think that just seeing Fabian have such great success with his brother in his corner like that, I think that that's going to generate a little bit of fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Leah, thank you so much for not saying what we all heard in that Fabian Edwards press conference when I was simply trying to ask the difference between them, and Fabian said, "Fuck his head kick." All right. I was literally, the door was open for brotherly love. Apparently, that doesn't exist between the Edwards brothers. But no, it was a fantastic moment, fantastic highlight for the PFL. And just that's the beauty of MMA, right? Leon has a left high kick knockout for the belt, and Fabian gets the same exact thing. It is going to be an absolute banger of a card, and you will be there, correct?
I will be there. I will be there as a fan because the UFC denied my media pass.
We gotta change that. We gotta change that. We gotta clip off what you and I have said about Dana White today. All the
Dana, we
praise
love you. Love me. I'm
we
innocent. I'm here for the people.
That's it. That's it. And I truthfully think that even though you've just gotten started in a year, I think you are well on your way to doing great things in this business. I think more people need to have that mindset of yours. Listen, the investigative reporting is one thing, The clickbait reporting is a completely different thing. I think genuine conversation is exactly what combat sports needs. Now, in other sports, the difference for me is as someone who covers the NFL, rightfully speaking, I can go in and ask a quarterback, "Hey, what did you not see when you threw that interception?" And they have to answer that. But what I cannot do is go, how did you allow yourself to get punched in the face to where you got knocked out? Like they're both strategies, but they're completely different things. That's why there's balls in these sports and there's no balls in combat sports, depending on how you talk about it. It's literally just body against body. So for me, I think genuine conversation goes a much longer way in combat sports than it does in the other top sports here in the States. So I think you do a fantastic job. Locked in with Lia on Millions, over on Fight Bananas as well. And your watch parties are a lot of fun. Your watch parties are a lot of fun. So I will definitely tune in whenever you are doing them. You and the crew over at Fight Bananas also do a great job. So let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Y'all, follow your girl. Just like right here under my name, if my finger's at the right place, Lia Dorchinez. I'm Lia Dorchinez on Instagram, on Threads, I'm gonna call it Twitter, because it's still Twitter to me. On TikTok, Lia Dorchinez on Facebook. You can follow me over there because you know how you get so many friends, you can only add so many people, but whatever. Yeah, Lia Dorchinez. I like to keep it pretty short and simple, even though Dorchinez, it stumps people, but that's fine. You won't forget it.
You won't, especially when they see your work. And this is how you know I pay attention to your watch alongs. Also, Lia Dorchinez on Cash App. So if you want her to make bets, if you want her to make bets, there
And
you
if
go.
you win, 50% of your proceeds come to me. That is my payment for entertainment. It's only
That's
fair.
fair. I think that's more than fair. So, Lia, thank you so much. This was a fantastic interview. Can't wait to see what you do moving forward in combat sports. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Mike.